What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How you doing? I hope you're doing well. I want to talk about this subject that's been it's been coming up quite a bit over the past few years because I don't know, I feel like there's like some stuff shifting that I'm not really used to, and I feel like a lot of people aren't used to either. And I think it's something that a lot of people kind of actually even they're not just automatically in agreement with it when it comes to, say, being famous and hooking up with your fans, because growing up, everybody thought that that's just what comes with the territory. You become famous, you have people who want you, who respect you, who idolize you, so on and so forth, and then that's a part of like the spoils, right? You become like a quote-unquote rock star in your field, and then you become infinitely more desirable, and then there you go. But now, because of what some people are doing, and this particularly has to do with Andrew Callahan of Channel 5, he was with All Gas No Breaks, he just did a documentary on HBO, because some allegations came out on this guy, where he's been, hooking up with his fans, but also, like, coercing them into hooking up with them. Like, a couple of girls have come out, and then other girls are text messaging and all this kind of stuff and saying, yeah, this dude's done this to me. He essentially just wouldn't take no for an answer until he got what he wanted. Technically, yes, there was consent, but at the same time, it was borderline because they gave in, and it's unfortunate. Yeah, you can do that to people. People have weak wills, and then they will just give in eventually if you're just persistent. There's some scumbags who think that's the way that you pursue women. Like, cause, that's what you do back in the day. It's kind of like that song, Baby It's Cold Outside. Like, you just stay persistent. Just block her exit. Keep doing this until she's like, okay, fine. Or it's like, in my opinion, I'm like, if a girl does not want me, to me, that's not hot. Immediately, I want nothing to do with her in that light, right? It's just not on. It needs to be totally like, she wants me, I want her, let's do the damn thing. Barring that, I'm good, son. So, essentially because of this Andrew Callahan stuff, Ethan Klein came out, and I want to preface this, Ethan Klein, I consider him a friend, more of an acquaintance, so we don't talk all the time or anything like that, but we're cool. And so I don't have any problem with him, but it's just his perspective on this is pretty interesting. He took to Twitter and he said this: famous men should not have random hookups, especially involving alcohol with fans, period, ever. This is all getting to be too much. My biggest problem is that first part, because the second part, to me, that's good advice. Maybe you don't want alcohol involved if you're doing a lot of casual encounters. A lot of people, they do it that way. They meet up at bars. You do hookups and stuff like that. But when it pertains to famous people, it's more of maybe a protect your neck type of situation, where maybe it's kind of, especially since you're famous, someone could just even, I could just make shit up. I could just make things up and say, well, they forced themselves on me or whatever. There was drinks involved. Maybe you don't really remember what's happening. So more to protect yourself, maybe you don't want drinks to be involved. And also, if you're famous, most likely drinks don't have to be involved. So that part of the advice, I would say, okay, fair enough. But not doing it, period? Like, if you're famous, you shouldn't hook up with your fans at all? That's where I'm like, I don't have that feeling. I didn't grow up that way. And I feel like this is more of a mentality that's like people who are their lives, they're growing up on the internet. Because I'm someone who's spent the vast majority of my life on the internet, right? But my life was developed outside of the internet. The internet was just for memes and music and stuff. Pretty much that's it. And now I feel like there's a lot of people that are developing these relationships and everlasting friendships and all this crazy stuff, and they're shaping their lives based on stuff they see online and what have you. And so that also pertains to like this new form of fame where it's being like this online influencer. And so it seems like it's particularly pertaining to this because you still don't hear this in the music industry. I don't hear musicians, and maybe there's some, I just don't see it. I don't come across it. that they're advocating, hey, don't hook up with your fans. Don't after a show, like, hey, y'all want to come back to my hotel or whatever, whatever it is, come back to the tour bus or whatever. I'm not seeing those conversations being had because it's just, that's so part of the culture now. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of parts of those cultures that even I've witnessed, I've been on a U.S. tour and I've seen some things that I'm like, I'm not sure if this is cool or not. But like it's all, I'm not instigating or anything like that. It's just, you see some behavior there, like I don't even know if this is right or not. Or if you see something like I cocked blocked a dude because he was being very kind of Andrew Callahan-y, if let's just put it that way. And he was very angry at me and wanted to fight me. We didn't fight. But the whole point is I was being a responsible person, and I don't like seeing people take advantage of people. So when I saw something clearly that could have been like a violation or something, could be like, oh, you're taking advantage, you're actually misusing your influence in this way or whatever. It's like, yeah, hold on. But overall, if it's just, I'm a big fan of yours, I think you're hot, you're awesome, let's bang, I don't care. I don't care at all. I just do not. So I feel like when it comes to that, just hookup culture and everything, I don't care about that. I'm not, like I said, I'm not conservative. I don't have these conservative values, even though I'm a married man. So that doesn't pertain to me at all, but it's for other people. I don't see like any, like, let's just say for the sake of argument, Ethan is single, Hila is not in the picture or whatever. Let's just make it even more like reasonable, like in a scenario that they split, right? Even though I don't think that would ever happen, but just for the sake of argument, they split. Ethan is now alone, and now maybe he finally wants to start playing the field after a while. Well, is he going to follow his own advice and only date famous people? Because he's such a famous person that I feel like it would be hard to try to find a woman that doesn't know you or who's like a fan, even casual at that. So do you only date famous people? And those famous people, would you have to date someone more famous than you? Or like, you see how like it gets a little complicated. I feel like at the end of the day, it wouldn't matter. I see it in the way that, like, I remember a long time ago, I don't know if they're still married, but Matt Damon, he married a server at a restaurant. She's just a regular server. They connected, and then he married her. I don't know if they're still together, but I remember hearing that years and years ago. And I always thought that was cool. Obviously, that server knew who he was. He's fucking Matt Damon. He's been famous for decades. But it didn't seem like there was, okay, there's a power dynamic, I guess. But does it matter in that situation? Was Matt Damon trying to take advantage of her? Or did he see a beautiful, charming woman that he's like, I would like to date her? And why can't he still be a normal person? At the end of the day, I understand there's things that come with being famous, but at the same time, if you choose to try to live a normal life, I don't really see anything wrong with that. And I don't think what people like Andrew Callahan should, what these people are doing should ruin stuff for everybody else. It's kind of like how stupid people ruin things for most people, if you know what I mean. Because people do really dumb stuff, we gotta put in all these things, we gotta nerf things, we gotta do all these things to protect a small amount of people who are gonna, hurt themselves or do some whatever, right? It's kind of like putting in the rules of like, oh, murder's illegal. And it's like, yeah, that's fine, but even if there wasn't a law, I believe that most people wouldn't do it because I don't think most people want to murder people, right? I'm sure some numbers would increase, of course. But overall, I feel like most people are just decent, right? Maybe not the smartest or nothing, but just decent overall, that you don't see someone automatically, you know what, I have this urge. I have this urge to just end them. Like, I feel like most people don't do that. I feel like most people understand the implications and what that is, that you just like took a life or something. So I digress on that. I'm just saying that I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I feel like famous people do your thing. If you don't even want to ever get married, you don't ever want to be in a relationship, and you're just like, you know what, I just want to hook up. Some of these people happen to be your fans. Some of them happen to not be. Who gives a shit? As long as you're just respecting them, as long as you're not doing anything illegal, why should it be any of my business or anybody else's business? That's just how I see it, like straight up. And I feel like my take is pretty damn reasonable. However, there might be some people who have a very different take, kind of like Ethan. You know, I wouldn't even mind talking to Ethan about this, but I'm curious to see some of your guys' takes. Do you agree with my assessment, or do you think I'm way off? Do you think that just no matter what, there's just a power dynamic, and no matter what, you just can't do anything? Because I've seen examples like this before of people, like there was a guy that was being, he was being unfaithful to his wife, and then, banging some fans. To me, it was like he resigned from his organization for a while that he was working with. He was like this YouTuber group, this wrestling group or whatever. And my thing was, I'm like, well, that sucks that you were cheating on your wife, bro. To me, that was the only problem. But he also mentioned some power dynamic thing. And I'm like, what do you mean exactly? Like, are you like saying I'm famous, therefore you need to sleep with me? Like, I'm this guy? Is that what's happening? Because then it's like, if that's what you're doing, that's corny, and then maybe you're kind of blurring the lines, right? But if you're just like, some girl's like, oh my God, it's X. And he's like, hey, how you doing? And then y'all start chatting and stuff, and then you guys get to hooking up. So what? I don't fucking care. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. I just wanted to talk about this because it keeps propping up, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I can't be forced to want to police how people how they live their lives, like sexually. It almost makes me feel like a religious zealot if I were to do that, and I'm just like, nah, son, this ain't it, as the kids say. All right, see you guys.